Welcome, everyone. We're very happy to have you with us today. We're very pleased to have such a huge number of people who have registered, more than 1,200 people, 1,200 registered for this webinar, and we're very, very happy about that. We would like to thank our partners who have been working very hard on sharing our flyers and sending information about this webinar to all their stakeholders. In fact, we have people from 40 countries all over the world. AFEE, the American Foundation for Educational Excellence. It's an organization whose mission is to help educational institutions and different organizations and corporations globally to pursue excellence. We have signature programs, mainly the art of business and the art of war, using military strategies to combat challenges in today's business world, re-engineering the future of business, how to survive and thrive in today's new world, which will be starting in February, reimagining leadership, unleashing the power within, and custom-tailored programs on leadership. We also offer a lot of complementary webinars on different topics. For the programs, that's a program that starts in February, you can earn up to 20 HR recertification credits. We encourage you to take a look at it on our website under programs, under foundationforeducation.org. Here are the very high level, most of them Ivy League professors, speakers that we are very happy to partner with for this program. And we're partnering with St. Joseph University, Centre de Formation Professionnelle, for this program. Okay, let me run the poll very quickly. If you can answer, please. This will help Sam know what you are the most interested in learning more about today. We have so far 454 people who have joined. We know that there are a lot of people who are in HR and who are interested in the credit, recertification credit. We will be sending you an email with the code, with the activation code for this one HR recertification credit. At the end of this webinar, just make sure that you save our email address, info@foundationforeducation.org. info@foundationforeducation.org, so that you can receive this credit. In order for you to receive it, you need to have registered via Zoom and attended somehow, either here on Zoom or via YouTube or on LinkedIn, on Facebook, but please show a sign that you are there. At the end of this webinar, we will give you an assessment, a short assessment of 5 questions that Sam has prepared for you. And those who complete it will be able, and who have registered via Zoom, will be able to receive a certificate of participation that will also email you within 10 days. At the end of this webinar, there is a survey. Once you log out, there is a survey. Please take it. If you do not have the time to take it, you go on our website, foundationforeducation.org/feedback, and complete it there. You will have the opportunity to give us your testimonial that we will post everywhere on our Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, website. So please take the time to do that. Thank you. So this is the link for the feedback. Just keep it in case you do not get the time to complete the survey at the end. Sam Horn, CEO of the Intrigue Agency, world-renowned author, speaker, executive coach, featured in New York Times, Forbes, Harvard Business Review, NBC, ABC, CBS, Fox, NPR, MSNBC. Her clients include NASA, Boeing, Intel, Cisco, Amazon, and the US Navy. We are so excited to have Ms. Sam Horn, the CEO of the Intrigue Agency, with us now. Please welcome Ms. Sam Horn.
Thank you so much to everyone for being here. Arthur Rubinstein said, "I have found if you love life, life will love you back." I love this program, and to help you love it back, we're not going to waste your time on abstract theories that have no relevance to your world. We're going to talk about real life ideas you can use for ethical persuasion. So when you're making a request, you're making a recommendation, you increase the likelihood that people will say yes because you've made it a win for both of you. So let's look at our learning outcomes. We have 5 learning outcomes, and they have been in the survey, and I've matched my points to those learning outcomes so that we can guarantee that you get what you came for. So our first tip is how we can open with 60-second opening that gets people's eyebrows up and makes them motivated to want to hear what we have to say. Now, how this works is I tell a little story that shows how this works in practice, and then we reverse engineer it into steps that you can replicate in your situations. Once again, I know we have people from around the world, so please be thinking of a situation where you want to get a yes. You want someone to approve this budget. You want someone to green light this project. You want someone to give you the go-ahead to move forward with an idea or an initiative. So here's the story, and then we'll unpack it for you. Nada may have mentioned that I am the pitch coach for Springboard Enterprises. And thank you. Next slide. And Springboard Enterprises has helped people generate $26 billion in funding and valuation. This is people like Robin Chase of Zipcar and Gail Goodman of Constant Contact. One of my Springboard clients came to me and she said, "Sam, I've got good news and I've got bad news." Well, I said, "What's the good news?" And she said, "I'm speaking in front of a room full of investors at the Paley Center in New York City." I said, "That's fantastic news." I said, "What's the bad news?" She said, "I'm going at 2:30 in the afternoon and I only have 10 minutes. She said, "Sam, you can't persuade anyone to do anything in 10 minutes. And I said, "Kathleen, you don't have 10 minutes. As you said, you're going at 2:30 in the afternoon. Those decision makers will have already heard 16 other presentations. If you don't hit the ground running in the first 60 seconds, you'll lose them at hello." Well, this is the 60-second opening we came up with that not only helped her get millions in funding, she was selected as one of Business Week's most promising social entrepreneurs of that year. So 60 seconds, here we go. Did you know there are 1.8 billion vaccinations given every year? Did you know up to a third of those are given with reused needles? Did you know we're spreading and perpetuating the very diseases we're trying to prevent? Imagine if there were a painless one-use needle for a fraction of the current cost. Well, you don't have to imagine it. We've created it, and she's off and running. Are your eyebrows up, which is a sure sign of intrigue? Do you want to know more? That means Kathleen just got what she cared about in your mental door. And when it comes to ethical persuasion, the first 60 seconds often determines whether we get a no or whether we get a yes. Now, to put this in perspective, can you imagine what Kathleen used to start off talking about PharmaJet, her company? She used to say that it was a medical delivery device for subcutaneous inoculations. It's a what? See, if we hear someone's idea and our eyebrows crunch up, it means we didn't get it. And if we didn't get it, you won't get it. What we want is for people eyebrows to go up. It means, oh, that's interesting. Oh, tell me more. Once again, it means we got what we cared about in their mental door. So let's unpack this 3-step process. Number 1, start with 3 did you know questions. Now, once again, think about that situation where you want to get a yes. What are 3 did you know questions that go to the problem that you're solving, or that go to the need that you're meeting, or that go to the issue you're addressing. Now, the goal is to have startling statistics. This isn't things that people already know, because that will make them roll their eyes, not their eyebrows go up. And if you're thinking, Sam, where do I find startling statistics? If we had time, I would guarantee that right now, if you put into Google, what are startling statistics about blank, the problem you're solving, the issue you're addressing, the industry you're working in, the need you're meeting, up are going to come recent research and studies that even you don't know. And if you don't know it and you're an expert, chances are your decision maker doesn't know it. And it's one of the quickest way to get people's favorable attention is to introduce something they don't already know that they would like to know. So start off by asking 3 did you know questions. Next, use the word imagine. That one word pulls people out of their preoccupation. Instead of being distracted or tired or bored, they are picturing your point. They are seeing what you're saying so that they are fully engaged. Now link the word imagine to 3 benefits of whatever it is you're requesting or recommending or proposing. Let's go back to Kathleen Callender of PharmaJet. What were her decision makers thinking? Well, they were probably thinking about those painful inoculations, so we made a benefit that it was painless. They're probably thinking about those reused needles, so we made the benefit that it was one use. And most decision makers care about money, so we made it a fraction of the current cost. Do you see how, in a world of infobesity, what is infobesity? Wah, 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 wah. In the middle of infobesity, we distilled into one succinct sentence of who wouldn't want that scenario. That's your goal. Think of 3 benefits of what it is you're proposing, what it is you're requesting or recommending. Now distill it into 3, imagine this, and this, and this. And your decision makers are thinking, sounds pretty good. Who wouldn't want that? Now go to the 3rd step. Say, you don't have to imagine it. We're doing it. And now come in with your evidence or come in with your precedents to show this isn't speculative or pie in the sky. This is a done deal. And you and your team have already done it, or the precedent where it's been done elsewhere successfully, or a testimony or an article that gives evidence of how this is already happening. That's how you ethically persuade people, is to turn a monologue into a dialogue instead of wah, 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 wah. We're asking, we're intriguing. People are thinking about this problem. Oh, I didn't know it was that bad. I didn't know that many people were being affected. I didn't know that the trend is getting worse. And you have a solution that would offer this and this and this, and you have evidence of it, proof of concept. That's how in 60 seconds, you can begin a successful ethical persuasion. All right, now let's go on to the next idea. I'm going to pull from my Tung Fu book. My Tung Fu book has been, are you ready for this? I'm dating myself, has been out in the world for 30 years. It's been sold around the world in 17 languages. And one of the reasons is because it talks about language. When it comes to ethical persuasion, words matter, every one of them. And there are words that set up resentment, and there are words that set up rapport. There are words that create resistance. There are words that create receptivity. There are words that cause conflict, and there are words that cause cooperation. So in our short time today, I have cherry-picked 4 of the words that I think can make all the difference from turning a no into a yes and doing it ethically. Now, how this works is I got to move fast here because we've got 3 other ideas in addition to this one as well. I tell a little mini story so that you can see how this particular word does damage and how this word can make all the difference. So a client was coming to me and he was pitching his app to the CTO of the London Olympics. And I said, how much time do you have, Mike? And he said, I have an hour. I said, Mike, you don't have an hour. Richard Branson said, time is the new money. And I think time is the new trust. And if we want to persuade people, they need to trust that we are going to hit the ground running and that we are not going to take up their valuable time on something that's not relevant or beneficial to them. So I said to Mike, all right, put yourself in the mind of the decision maker. What is he thinking? He said, well, he's probably thinking we're 212 days out from the London Olympics. We don't have time for this. I said, then say that. The quickest way to turn a no into a yes is to anticipate and voice what someone's thinking and say it first. What's their concern? What's their worry? Because if you say it and then you move into using this particular word, people feel we're on the same side instead of side against side. So over on the left, the very first word, it's the word that causes almost more damage than any other word in the English language, but. Please put down the word but. Because if we say, well, I hear what you're saying, but, well, you did a good job on that, but, well, I know it's important to you, but, well, yes, we agreed to that, but. If Mike had said, I know you're busy, but, if he had said, I can only imagine you're 212 days out from the London Olympics, but, that word creates adversarial conversations. Please, over on the right, put and. I hear what you're saying, and. Something we might want to keep in mind. I apologize for that happening, and let's talk about who's responsible for it. I understand it's important to you, and let's schedule that for our staff meeting so we can go into detail. When Mike says, I can only imagine, not I know, I can only imagine, you're thinking, I'm 212 days out from the London Olympics. I don't have time for this. And that's why I've distilled this presentation into 10 minutes. And at the end of 10 minutes, if you have questions, if you would like to continue the conversation, I welcome it. If you have other priorities, you'll have our information. You can get back on your convenience. When we anticipate people's objection and we bridge with and, we are no longer adversaries, we are allies. All right, now let's go down to the next word. Imagine you're trying to persuade someone to perform better or be more productive. And this is a performance appraisal. So maybe in the performance appraisal, you say, you point out a couple of situations where they haven't met their quota or they haven't had the output or productivity that was expected. And now they come in with either an excuse or a rationale. They say, well, I don't understand how to use the system. It's taken me a lot longer than I thought. And I had all this trial and error. So they're explaining their behavior. Please put the word should next. Because at that point, when people have made a mistake or when something has gone wrong or when their performance or productivity is not what we want, the word should comes out and perches right here on the tip of our tongue. Well, you should have told us you didn't understand the system. Well, you should have asked Carlos for help. He's got a lot of experience. He could probably, well, instead of, taking all that time with trial and error, you should have saved time by. That word should comes across like a critic. In fact, people will resent us, even if what we're saying is true, because they can't undo the past. They're losing face and they are resenting us, which is why when we are trying to persuade someone to correct a mistake or to perform better or to do something differently, instead of using that critical word should over on the right, please put next time. Next time, if you don't understand the system, please ask Carlos for help. He's familiar with it. He can probably save you a lot of time. Now we're being a coach instead of a critic. We are shaping behavior instead of shaming it. And people are learning from their mistakes instead of losing face. My dad used to tell me, you can't motivate someone to do better by making them feel bad. And the word should makes people feel bad, and it doesn't teach them how to do it better. So instead of focusing on what they should have done last time, we focus on how they can do it right next time. All right, let's go down to that third word. And let's just fill it in right now. Just put in the words you'll have to. I had an opportunity to do some training on Tung Fu for Kaiser Permanente. And a year after I had done the training, and the goal of that was to persuade employees, nurses and physicians and team members to be more gracious and diplomatic when handling these high pressure situations. I came back a year later, and when I walked in the lobby, there was a woman at the reception desk, and she looked around, no one was in the lobby, and she beckoned me over, and she pointed to the words to lose, words to use reminder template that I had given them. And she said, you know, Sam, before your workshop, I really didn't understand what was going on. I really try and be friendly. I'm the first point of contact. And a lot of times people were really rude to me, and I just didn't understand it. And thank you for coming. Yes, thank you. And she said, when I took your workshop, I realized I use all those words on the left all the time. Well, I'd like to help you, but that's not my department. You should have talked to your doctor about that, or you'll have to go to section G, or you'll have to take this to the lab, or you'll have to get some blood drawn, and then we can. She says, I was ordering people around. Those words, you'll have to fill out the paperwork first. Well, you'll need to go ahead and bring that up next week. Those words, people are thinking, you're not the boss of me, even if we are, because most people bristle when they hear you need to understand. Over on the right, please put, if you would, or could you please? Instead of, well, you have to take this to the lab and get some blood drawn. Could you please take this to the lab and get some blood drawn? Instead of, well, you'll have to talk with your doctor about that. Could you please bring that up with your doctor? She will be able to answer that for you. The words, if you would, or could you please, treat people with the courtesy and the respect that they want, instead of the orders that cause resentment. And now one last word, and then we're going to open it up for some questions. If you have comments and you'd like to put them in chat, they're going to Nada and her team, and we'll take about 10 minutes for questions to make sure that I'm talking about things that are relevant for you, and then we go into our next 3 steps. The last word. I imagine many of you are parents, and you may be thinking, okay, Sam, you've used mostly business examples at this point. Do these ideas work with kids, work with our partners too? Yes, they do. So think of time recently when someone came to you with a request and you had to turn them down. You had to reject their request. Please put number 4 on the lower left. Please put can't because. And you said, well, no, we can't do that because. Well, no, you can't do that because. The words can't, because are like a verbal door slamming in someone's face. Once again, they will resent us because it feels like we're not listening. We're not giving them a chance. And often they get louder and angrier and more persistent in an effort to make us say yes to them instead of no. So would you like good news? A lot of times, instead of no, you can't because, over on the right, put the words, yes, you can as soon as, or yes, we can right after. Now, I'll give you one of my favorite examples. It was a Tung Fu workshop, and a woman put her hand up and she said, Sam, I'm a single mother and I've got 3 kids under the age of 10. It seems like all I ever do is say no. And, can I go play with my friends? No, you can't because you haven't done your homework yet. Can I watch TV? No, you can't because you haven't done your chores. And then people often do what's called stacking. The rules around here. Those chores, if those chores don't get done, the TV's staying off. Or how many times do I have to tell you? And then we just escalate the conflict. Look what happens when we say, yes, you can as soon as. Yes, you can play with your friends as soon as you finish your homework. Do your math. Let me have a look at it. Then you can go out and shoot hoops. Yes, you can watch TV as soon as you do your chores. Take out the trash, pick up your room, and then you can turn on the TV. And she was the one who said, Sam, this isn't semantics. This isn't wordplay. This changes the whole dynamic of the relationship. And that's what this section of ethical persuasion is about. If we're using words like but and should and you'll have to and can't because, even if our intent is good, those words are creating conflict and tension and resentment and resistance. When we replace them with the words to use on the right, we actually create a culture of cooperation. We create receptivity instead of resentment and rapport instead of resistance. Okay, Nada, let's turn it over to you. Are there some comments or questions you'd like to share with us? And we'll take a few minutes to do that, to give people a voice. I'd like to hear what you have to say, and then we'll share those other 3 ideas.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you so much for all these tips and ideas. They are awesome, especially the one regarding parents. I can definitely see it. So we have a question from Mirna Farah. She asks, how do we stand up for ourselves by ethically saying no? Sometimes we need to make ourselves clear and stop being a pushover.
I love this question, Nada, and thank you for asking it. You know me, I like to tell stories, because instead of just rhetoric, well, do this, don't do this. When we hear how someone else has been in a situation and exactly what they said that turned the situation around and that helped them stand up, then we're a little bit more likely to do that as well. So I have a good friend named Judy Gray. Judy Gray ran the Fairfax County Chamber of Commerce, which is one of the largest chambers in the country. She ran the International Veterinary Association that had 80,000 veterinarians come from all over the world. And she was in a situation where another very powerful, very well-known, strong leader told her that she could not teach tech skills to her members because this person was in charge of a tech council and thought it was a conflict of interest. Now, this person was renowned for being a little bit of a bully. So how do we stand up for ourselves? Judy literally and figuratively stood up for herself. Because if someone attacks us or insults us or says something disparaging and dismissive, if we continue to stay seated, they will be in the dominant position because of their intensity and their attack, and we will be in the subordinate position and the submissive position. When we literally and figuratively stand up, Judy stood up and she said, I am happy to stay if we continue to have a professional discussion about this. If you're not willing to do that, then we'll need to have this discussion another time. When we stand up for ourselves, we are saying, I'm not taking this sitting down. We not just are leveling the playing field, we are changing the playing field by standing tall for ourselves, which lets the other person know that you cannot insult me, you cannot bully me, you cannot put me down. Colette said, the better we feel about ourselves, the fewer times we have to knock someone down in order to feel tall. So how do we stand up for ourselves? If someone comes in and they're attacking us, they're accusing us, they're insulting us, literally stand up for yourself and then express what you do want instead of what you don't. Instead of calling the person a name, saying, that's rude, or I can't believe you're doing that, expressing outrage, or saying, no one talks to me like that, which is a mutual accusation. We've just escalated it. Say what you do want. I am happy to continue this conversation if we treat each other with respect, or I am glad to continue to solve this problem and figure out our next steps as long as we keep this professional. State what you do want instead of what you don't, and stand up for yourself. And then the third step, so number 1, stand up. Number 2, express what you do want instead of what you don't, so that you're moving forward proactively instead of reactively. And then number 3, you continue the conversation. Don't stop, because nature abhors a vacuum, and I'm not too fond of them either. If you stop talking, the other person will probably come back with another attack, or, wow, I can't believe that. No, you just say, we were talking about how we can move this forward with everyone taking responsibility, or say, you know, our agenda is that we have 15 minutes to come up with what we're going to say to our members. So move to the proactive action. You've said your piece. They know they cannot push you around. You will not sit down for it. And hopefully that transforms the relationship. Nada, maybe time for one more question, and then let's keep our promise and cover those other steps.
Yes, we have quite a few questions. I will choose this one. It's how can you use this kind of positive words when you have to tell a really, really bad news from Nuria Boada?
I'm so glad you asked that. It's in the Tongue Fu book, we have a whole section on how to give bad news. So here, just over on the left, just add 2 more lines to those words to lose. Over on the left, please put the word, there's nothing. There's nothing I can do, or there's no way. There's no way I can change it. It's not my fault. I'm not the decision maker. Because when we have to give bad news, if we have to lay someone off, if we have to tell someone that they need to, work overtime, if we have to tell someone that they can't do this, is that if we just say, hey, there's nothing I can do, there's no way I can change it, they conclude we don't care. And that's when they're more likely to kill the messenger in an effort to make us care, is to get upset. Over on the right, please put the words, I wish, or I hope, or there's something instead of there's nothing. Now, Nada, you like that parent example. Let me give another parent example of how this works. There was a woman in a program, and she said, at the end of me talking about this shift from there's nothing to there's something, she almost had tears in her eyes. And I said, what's happening? She said, I cannot wait to get home tonight. And I said, why? She said, my daughter came home from school last night, and she came in the kitchen. She grabbed me around the waist. She twirled me around. She said, Mom, I got it. I got it. And she said, what? She said, I got the lead in my high school play. She said, put that Friday night on your calendar. I want you there on open night. And this woman said, with this feeling of dread, I got out my phone and I looked at my calendar and I said, honey, I'm not going to be able to be there. I'm out of town at a conference. I'm leaving on Thursday. I'm not even coming home until Monday night. And her daughter said, Mom, you miss my activities all the time. Can't you make an exception this once? And this woman said she just stayed stuck over there on the left with those words to lose. Honey, you should have told me earlier that this was a possibility. It's like, you have to understand. It's like, I made this commitment. Mom, isn't there someone else who can do this for you? Honey, there's nobody who knows the system. She said, my daughter left the room in tears. The good news is it's never too late to have a fresh start. We can go back to people where we have used words to lose before, and we say, can we have a fresh start? I really thought about your school play, and there's something we can do. Can you ask someone to videotape that so when I get home on Monday night, we can sit down on the couch together and you can talk me through it? Instead of saying there's no way I can be there, I wish I could be there in the front row because I am so proud of you and I would love to be there in person. In the real world, we have to give bad news. And sometimes we can't change the circumstances. We can change the way we communicate those circumstances. And when we say, I wish, or I hope, or there's something, instead of shrugging our shoulders, nothing I can do, at least people know we care. And they're a lot more likely to accept the bad news instead of to make it all our fault. Okay, Nada, let's go on to our next slide so that we can keep our promise and cover these 3 other learning outcomes. Sound good?
Yes.
Okay. I believe if we want to be ethical and persuasive, that it's smart for us to follow advice from Gary Marshall. I ran the Maui Writers Conference for 17 years. Many people feel it was the best writers conference in the world, and Gary Marshall was the director of the movie Pretty Woman. Remember, with Richard Gere and Julia Roberts? He said something so profound, I remember it as if he said it this morning. He said, Hollywood directors can predict when their movies will make money based on one thing. Do people walk out of the theater reading something they heard word for word? Because see, if they walk out saying, make my day, or I'll be back, or show me the money, if someone says, seen any good movies recently? They're talking about your movie, and they're talking about it in a way that motivates other people to want to go see it. They've become brand ambassadors because you've created a repeatable, retweetable one-liner, or what I call a hook, line, and thinker. So if you want to persuade someone, look over your prepared remarks. Can they repeat anything they heard word for word? Because if they can't, it's going to be out of sight, out of mind. We don't want to be out of sight, out of mind. We want to be in sight, in mind, and top of mind. So here's a quick process you can use to create repeatable, retweetable one-liners so that at the end of your persuasion, people remember your rally cry, or they remember your ask, or they remember your most important point. So the first one is A is for alliteration. Alliteration are words that start with the same sound, and they make us instantly eloquent. They make our language lyrical. Now, especially if you're naming something, just listen to these names: bed, toilet, and shower, Dunkin' croissants, dirt, vacuum, rolls, car. See, it's nothing. Now make those same words alliterative: bed, bath, and beyond, Dunkin' donuts, rolls, Royce, dirt, devil, best buy. Now, this isn't petty if you're thinking, oh, this is wordplay. No, do you like to drink coffee? Have you ever had a cup of coffee with those cardboard insulating sleeves around them? Well, you can't build a business around an unpronounceable name. See, my eyes crunch up cardboard insulating sleeves. I can't remember that. Jay Sorensen saw an opportunity. He called those Java jackets, and he cornered the market. He said, Sam, people who meant to call my competitor call us because they can't remember our competitor's name. That's the power of alliteration. Next is iambic meter. When you put it in a beat, you make it easy to repeat. If you put it in a beat, you make it easy to repeat. If you see something, say something. That slogan has been repeated by millions of people now because they put it in a beat that made it easy to repeat. I can't believe I ate the whole thing. That's an advertising slogan for Alka-Seltzer that people can still repeat 50 years after it was first done because it's in a beat. If you've ever been to Las Vegas before, it's like what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. And the Chamber of Commerce says those words have been directly responsible for more than $1 billion in business because people remember it when they're thinking about where they're going to go on vacation. That pops to mind. That's top of mind. And sometimes they end up going to Las Vegas. All right, let's talk about one more way to come up with a hook, line, and thinker. R is for rhyme. Rhyme is sublime because it's remembered over time. Now, let's think about a behavior that's actually harming people, and we want to persuade them to do this different. We want them to adopt a new habit. We want them to do something that's going to make them healthier or happier. This was a situation the US government was in when they did a study and found out that tens of thousands of people were being killed and injured in car accidents every year. So they came up with the slogan, buckle up for safety. Nothing happened because it didn't sing. And the jazz legend Duke Ellington said, it don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing. So they went back to the drawing board, and this time they came up with click it or ticket. Do you know click it or ticket? It's 3 words. That compliance went up, injuries went down, fatalities went down. What I'm saying is that once again, words matter. And when we craft them so they're alliterative, they have an iambic rhythm, and they have rhyme, we increase our persuasive ability because people resonate with those words, they remember those words, and they're more likely to act on those words. So next time you want to persuade someone, review your remarks. Will they be able to repeat anything they heard word for word? If so, good for you. If not, back to the drawing board. All right, let's go to our 4th learning outcome, please. And we're talking about how to use an empathy telescope story to be more relatable and ethical and intriguing. So here's the story, and then we'll show how you can do this when you're trying to persuade someone at work, at home, or in your community. Years ago, I was reading the Washington Post, and I saw an article by Shankar Vedantam about something that was so profound. Once again, I remember it as if I read that story this morning. He said that an oil tanker had caught fire 800 miles off the coast of Hawaii. Now, a cruise ship happened to be going by, and they were able to rescue the 11 people on board. Well, the captain gave a press conference, and he thanked the rescue team, and he talked about how grateful he and his team were to be rescued. All he can think about, though, is his dog, Hakget, that got left behind, abandoned on that tanker. Well, that press conference went viral, and donations started pouring in from around the globe, $5, $500, $5,000. The U.S. Navy changed the exercise area of the Pacific Fleet to search 50,000 square miles for that drifting tanker. They found it. They sent a C-130 to fly low to see if there's any signs of life. Here's this brown and white blur racing up and down the deck of the tanker. They mount a $250,000 rescue mission to get this dog, and they are able to successfully bring Hakget back to Hawaii. Now, what's the point? Here's the point. Why did people from around the world mobilize to save one dog when there are thousands of people in their own cities and states and countries going without food, water, and shelter? It's because of what's called the empathy telescope. And the empathy telescope says we can put ourselves in the shoes of one person. We cannot put ourselves in the shoes of millions. So now think of a cause that you care about. Think about an idea or an initiative. We may think that by talking about the hundreds or thousands or millions of people being affected by this, that people will be motivated to galvanized into action. Often they're overwhelmed, because when we're overwhelmed, we're immobilized. We often look away because we feel we can't do anything. We don't know where to start. So do not explain your idea. Because if we try to explain our idea, why it's important and how it works and so forth, explanations are infobesity. Explanations often go in one ear and out the other. Wah, 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 because we can find that on the internet. Instead of explaining your idea, which can come across as infobesity, share a true example of one person who has benefited from your idea. What are you proposing? What are you suggesting? What are you advising? Where in the real world is one person, not a whole company, no, one person, not a whole department, no, one person. Put us in the scene of a 3-act hero journey play. What was the problem they had? What was going wrong? Where was the adversity? What couldn't they figure out? Now is your proposal or your idea or your product or your service, and they tried it, they bought it, they used it, they implemented it, and now they're better off as a result. If you can create what I call a 60-second dog on a tanker story, next time someone says, well, why should we do this? Don't explain why they should do it. Do you hear that word should? Give an example of someone who was in that same situation and tried this and it worked for them. That is when we can relate to one person. We can identify and empathize with one person. We can put ourselves in their shoes and experience what that was like to not know how to do that, to have that going wrong, to be suffering from that situation. And you mean there's an answer to it? There's a resolution to that? That's how we ethically persuade people, is through a true real life example of where this has been done before successfully, instead of telling them what they should do or should think. Now, be sure to reenact your dog on a tanker story so it feels as if it's happening right now. How you do that is you often start with when or where, so it's not, this was in 2011, we're trying to do the math in our head. It was like, it was a Friday afternoon at 4:30, and one of my employees came in and plopped down in a chair and said, "I quit." I said, "You can't quit. We've got to." Do you see how with dialogue and with visual details, that's only 30 seconds, and yet you're in the scene with that situation. It is alive. It is as if it's happening now. And that's how we ethically persuade someone, which is a true, real life dog on a tanker, empathy telescope story where people are putting themselves in the scene, experiencing it for themselves, and Socratically choosing to do things differently, not because they're being told to, and not because they're being sold to, because they want to. All right, and let's talk about our last learning outcome. And I hope you're finding this interesting and useful, and you have some real life situations where you can be immediately applying these ideas to get some bottom line value from them. So let's talk about what to say in the last 60 seconds of any type of persuasion, talk, communication. Do you know how most people end their communication? By saying thank you. Talk about leaving money on the table. Talk about losing opportunity. Thank you is nice. However, it's not action oriented. And our goal in the last 60 seconds of a communication is to plant seeds that dramatically increase the likelihood that we will stay top of mind with this person. They will remember what we say, and they'll be motivated to act on it. So how do we do that? We start off by saying our name is blank, blank. I'm the one in the blank, blank. So let me tell you this story to see how it works, and then we'll do it for you. I was helping another woman who used to be with MTV, and she had now started her own business, and she was trying to persuade some investors to fund her startup. And I said, "Would you like a competitive edge?" She said, "Is that a rhetorical question?" I said, "Jack Welch said, if you don't have a competitive edge, don't compete." And I think if we don't have a competitive edge, we can't compete. So how do we give ourselves a competitive edge? Well, instead of ending our persuasion with thank you, which drops the ball, we do this. I said, "Marcia, you have a very distinguishing characteristic. We want you to stand out in the crowd. So afterwards, when people are in the halls, if they can't remember your name, they won't walk up to you because it's embarrassing and awkward not to know your name. Furthermore, they may not be able to pick you out in the halls because there's hundreds of people out there." So here's what she said. Once again, "I'm Marcia. I'm the one with the white spiky hair." She said, "At our next break, I'm going to be at our booth, which is by the registration desk. If you would like a product demonstration, if you would like to talk with our CMO about our marketing and how we're going to take this viral online, if you'd like to talk with our CFO about our financial projections, please come out and talk to me at our team. Once again, I'm Marcia with the white spiky hair. We'll see you at our booth at 2:30. Guess who was surrounded with people? Marcia, because she was the only one who gave a very specific action-oriented close that motivated people to follow up. So here's how you can do it. My name is blank, blank. Now, please don't rush and blush, because if I say my name is Sam Horn, you go, "What? You didn't get it," because I rushed and blushed. I blended them together. So it's my name is Sam, beat, 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 punch, Horn. My name is Sam Horn. If you say your first name with a pause and then a punch, where you emphasize your second name, people will be able to repeat it after hearing it once. And that's your goal, once again, is to be memorable and top of mind instead of out of sight, out of mind. Now, if this is live, mention something you're wearing. I'm Tom in the green jacket, or I'm Lola in the purple. I'm Lola in the purple dress, because once again, you are planting a seed where they see your purple dress or they see your green jacket, they remember your name, which dramatically increases the likelihood they'll approach you, especially if you do this. Clarify when and where you'll be available to reconnect. Say, at lunchtime, I'm going to be sitting as you walk in the room on the table on the back left, or I'll be in my office on Monday from 1 until 2. Or I'll be back in Lisbon the first week of April. Now, if you're thinking, Sam, does this work if it's virtual? Because a lot of my communications these days are virtual. Certainly, you can say, once again, my name is blank, blank, and then still reference something you wear, and then say, I am going to be in my office tomorrow between 1 to 3 if you would like to have follow-up phone call, or I am going to be offering an online webinar on this date, and if you're interested, where can they follow up the conversation? And then make it an incentive to follow up with 3 actionable options. So what is something they would value? What is something they would like to know more about? What is something that would actually be a gift or a benefit to them? So did you mention an article? If you would like a copy of that article, if you'll give me your card and just write article on the back, I'll be glad to send it to you within 24 hours. Or did you reference a TED Talk that you feel really goes into detail about your subject? Say, if you'd like more information about this cause and what's happening around the world, you might want to watch Dan Pink's TED Talk, and here's the link. What are 3 reasons why people would think, yes, that would be valuable and beneficial to me? I want to know more about it. I want to continue the conversation, and at least one of them gives them the incentive to do so. So what are you going to say in the last 60 seconds of your persuasion? Hopefully, you'll do some adaptation of this, and you're the one they're going to remember. You're the one they're going to follow up with. You're the one who may get a yes to what it is you're requesting or recommending. And it's because you didn't just say, let me know if you have any questions, or thank you for your time, or I appreciate you listening. Turn a passive close into a proactive close if you want to turn a no into a yes. So Nada, I'm going to turn it back over to you. Let's see, we actually have 3 minutes. So here are our 5 learning outcomes. And I matched my points to these 5 learning outcomes, hopefully to make it crystal clear how, when it comes to ethically persuading people, here are ways that we can do it with our learning outcome. And I hope you'll take the time to fill out the survey. And I hope that you share these tips with your team members so that all of you are on the same page and turning conflicts into cooperation and turning resistance into receptivity. And if you'd like more details, you can find them in my TEDx talks and in my books. And once again, I hope you find them interesting and inspiring and useful. It's been a joy.
Thank you so much, Sam, and we hope to have you again. Would you like to take one more question, Sam? We have quite a few.
Oh, I'd love to, Nada. Thank you.
Okay, wonderful. How do you create a 60-second close for a small group who already knows your name and face? From Sarah Tinsley.
Well, I just love these questions. Nada, I wish we had more time because boy, would we have fun answering these, right? I really believe in something called warm words. I was just talking with a colleague yesterday in an organization, and he says that he works for someone who usually just sends one-line emails like, is that document ready? Did you send that report out? And I believe in starting and ending with warm words. So if it's a 60-second close and they know our name, then the warm words are welcome, grateful, look forward, appreciate, thank you. So once again, warm words are, I really am grateful to have an opportunity to work with you on this, or I really appreciate your ideas and your input on how we can be more efficient moving forward, or thank you. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to be here today. And in my personal opinion, always have a pipeline. Set up the next time is to say, I look forward to us coming together again. I look forward to receiving your reviews. I look forward to having the opportunity to collaborate with you, because you are acknowledging humanity with these warm words that set a tone of connection. And then you are setting up a future where this collaboration will continue, or where this rewarding relationship will get even better, or that we will cooperate together to produce something we can both be proud of. So that's how we can produce a warm, proactive close in 60 seconds that thanks them for what just happened and their part in it, their contribution to it, and then set the stage for what you want to have happen next. Hope that's helpful.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sam. I just posted a link to the assessment. So please click on it and take it. I also just posted a link to the feedback form. You can either complete the survey at the end or the feedback form on our website. And again, we will be posting pictures, we'll be posting certificates, we'll be posting this video, the recorded video, on our website. I would like to specifically thank, Father Sherbil Batour, who is with us here, either here or on YouTube, and St. Joseph University, Septième Jour, and CFP, who have helped a lot, and all the people who have helped so much, spread the word about this webinar. I would like to thank you, Sam. Sam Horn, just awesome. I've been telling people she is awesome, and I'm sure that you will love her. And we really hope that we'll have you again sometime soon. And to all the others, if you would like to have a certificate, an executive certificate in leadership, and a 20 HR credits, please join us in February from the 7th to the 28th of February. If you want to take advantage of the early bird discount, you have just a few days, 1 or 2 days. And for the discount for Lebanon, also a few days. Thank you all. Just check our website for more information. Check Sam Horn's page, the one that I just posted, for more information. Thank you so much, everyone, and we will close it now.